Wait, no, this is the wrong button. Wait, Chris, do you have any good talkies here?
I don't know. What?
Can I look just in case?
No. You don't need to be worried about the box yet.
He said go to Philippians.
Yes, Philippians chapter 4 is where we're starting, and then we'll be talking in Genesis. Philippians 4, starting with verse 10. Philippians is toward the back. It'll be
1920.
Yes, it'll be on the right. Philippians.
Wait, I go to the Philippians 10. Okay.
All righty. Now it seems like we've got everybody in a book at least. Yeah. Philippians chapter 4, verses 10 through 13 are where we've been looking. And Paul, he's finishing up the letter to the Philippians. He's given them lots of guidance. Now he's kind of hitting on a few things toward the end, giving some thanks to different people, things of that nature. And he's acknowledging a gift, financial gift they sent him. We talked about last week how when you're imprisoned in the Roman Empire, you have to foot the bill. The taxpayers do not do it. So it was a blessing to him to receive this so that he could eat and have the things he needed. And he was also careful to make sure that they knew that it was okay that they weren't able to do it before. As for a little while there, they weren't able to send something, and that was okay. But now, he's in, and he's talking about a concept within that we need to know, which is being content. So let's read our scripture, and we'll get into that. I rejoice greatly in the Lord that at last you renewed your concern for me. Indeed, you were concerned, but you had no opportunity to show it. I am not saying this because I am in need, for I have learned to be content whatever the circumstances. I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. I can do all this through him who gives me strength. So twice he says, I've been content. Box. So you've got a box, and unless it's empty, it has contents, doesn't it? It has contents. In this case, it's got Takis. And it looks like it's the nacho cheese and there's some blue ones in there. In this case, Takis are the contents. The contents are where?
In the box.
Inside the box. That's right.
Outside the box. Or we think outside the box.
You think outside the box, but your contents are inside the box. This is the same word. Talking about being content and having contents, same word. Paul is saying, I am in where I need to be no matter what. No matter what's going on, whether I've got a lot, whether I'm in prison like he was right then, whether I've got a lot of food or I'm hungry. Yep, he went to prison for the Lord in order to reach people that wouldn't have heard the gospel otherwise. It depends on what you did to get there. What?
Are you certain that he went to prison?
I am certain he went to prison. He went to prison because people got upset that he was preaching the gospel, and they're like, hey, you need to shut up. and it started problems with very worldly important people. And they were about to do some very bad things to him, and they arrested him for causing trouble. Then he appealed to Caesar. It's like appealing to the Supreme Court. And while he was waiting to talk to Caesar, who was the emperor, he had to wait in house arrest. He is imprisoned in a house.
So when they had him under house arrest, he had to wear an ankle monitor, right?
It's a lot like that. They didn't have those back then. He would have a chain on his ankle.
Oh,
But
yeah.
it's the same idea.
He had chain on his ankle,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why they had him under a house arrest.
Yep. I've got a definition that I want to share with you of content that comes from one of my commentaries. Content, an abiding peace where you have confidence in the midst of the battle. That means things are going crazy all around you. There's fighting, but you still have peace.
Mhm.
Do we normally have peace when things are bad around us?
You meditate.
You're not going to catch me with my legs like that. I'd break.
I didn't have peace last night.
But in faith, you can be content to where no matter what's going on around you, because you are with God and God is in control, you can have peace. And we're going to build on this here. So God, He knows everything. Everything that was going to happen, everything that will happen, everything that is happening. So He knows what's going to go on in our lives before we do.
So he knows what my future job's gonna be.
Yes.
I'm gonna be a paleontologist, please.
Yeah, see, time exists for us. It doesn't exist for God. All right, that's enough talking. So He knows before us what our needs are, what we're going to be faced with, and therefore He works before us. In other words, He makes arrangements so that what you need will be there when the time is right. He makes plans for certain circumstances, certain situations, certain happenings in your life to happen so that you have what you need, whether that be an education, finances, money, opportunities, tools of some sort, whatever it is. He's already got it all planned out and has all kinds of things working toward it before you even know you have that need. It is such a complicated process that we couldn't even understand it if we tried, because it is coming from all kinds of directions. So He is already working on it before we even know we need it, or we're even close to where we need to be to have it. Let's talk about a man named Joseph back in Genesis. This man was a favorite of his father, and his brothers knew it. You see, if you're familiar with his story at all, you know about the coat of many colors. That was usually reserved as a gift for the eldest son. At that time, he was the youngest. But that gift was given to him because he was his father's favorite. If your brother or sister got something that showed that, hey, your dad's favorite or mom's favorite, how would you feel? Would you be happy about it? No, you'd be upset, wouldn't you? And you'd be like, you gave that to them and you gave nothing to me. That'd make you feel pretty bad. Well, his brothers see it. They get upset and they decide, we're going to sell him into slavery. There's a bunch of Midianites coming down through here. They're on their way to Egypt. We'll sell him to them, and they can take him to Egypt. That was part of God's plan. All right, I need you three to just kind of make a little more space in between all of you. Because there's a lot of chit-chatting going on over there. So I sell him into slavery. God, while he didn't set that up, he did make it where they decided to sell him into slavery instead of kill him. Because they originally were going to kill him. Because they were so jealous.
They're gonna like throw him into a pit.
They did throw him into a pit. They threw him into a pit while they decided what to do with him. They were going to stab him, put his blood on the coat, and take it to Dad. But then one of the brothers said, hey, why don't we just do something else? Basically. So they sell him. He goes to Egypt. God uses that to get him ready for the job that God has for him. Yes, sir.
Doesn't he become like a king or something? Yeah.
He becomes the second highest person in all of Egypt. There's Pharaoh, that's like a king, and then him. So he was one of the most powerful people in the world at that time, because Egypt was the most powerful nation in the world at that time.
And then they had family starve and they came in.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was Cleopatra. What happened to Cleopatra?
Now, Cleopatra is a lot later than this. Cleopatra is closer to Jesus' time. This was thousands of years beforehand. All right, so he goes to Egypt, and God is already working to put Joseph where he's supposed to be. We mentioned just a minute ago, he's going to be basically the top dog in Egypt. He's going to be the guy running everything, and he only answers to the king. God has already started getting things ready for that. He ends up in a guy named Potiphar's house. I know it's kind of a weird name for us, but he ends up there, and while he's there, he learns discipline. Before he was in Potiphar's house, he was there and he was bragging to his brothers, you're going to all serve me. You're all going to bow down to me. I saw it in a dream. And he lorded it over them. Now, he was kind of asking for what he got. He wasn't completely innocent, but, well, that's a discussion for another day. He learned discipline. He started controlling himself and his behavior. He was 17 years old when he was sold into slavery.
How old? 17?
17.
So when he's 18, he can be free.
No. That's not how it worked there. If you were a slave, you didn't get out of it because of age.
What did Abraham Lincoln get into this then? But it was Abraham Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln's thousands of years later. So Potiphar has him in his home. God blesses everything that Joseph does. He learns about God's faithfulness while he's there, yes.
White people used to be slaves too. Like white people used to be slaves too.
They could be at one time, yeah. The Romans did it. And he learned how to manage Potiphar's estate. See, Potiphar was rich. So think about, you got these, like Elon Musk type money, and you need somebody to run everything at your house.
How much was $20 back in the day?
I don't know. It doesn't matter right now. So you've got Elon Musk type money, and you've got a house, but you're not always there. You're working, and you need somebody to tell your servants what to do, the cleaning people what to do, order food, make sure everything is done. That was this guy, Joseph. He learned how to run this rich man's estate. So he gained skills on how to take care of somebody's place. He learned how to manage people. And he learned how to manage supplies like food and things like that, which would be important later. And by the way, he only answered to Potiphar. That's the only person he had to answer to. One day, Potiphar's wife says, hey, this is a good-looking young guy. I want to cheat with him. Joseph, following God's morality, says, no way, lady. I'm not going to do it. My master's good to me. This isn't the right thing to do. And so he runs off, but she tells her husband, hey, he tried to rape me. And gets him thrown in jail. While he's in prison for a number of years, God blesses everything he does. And he ends up being in charge of the prison. Just the warden was the only person that was higher than him. And it says in the scripture that no matter what, warden never worried about anything Joseph was taking care of. He knew it was going to be done right. So he basically ran the prison and he directed people. He had them doing their work right. He learned skills and he learned patience while he was there. While he's in prison, yeah, it looks like the kids' class got in trouble. So, all right, we know they're back there. While he's there, Pharaoh's baker and cupbearer end up in prison as well. You see, if you made somebody angry that was in the place of Pharaoh, they could just do whatever they wanted. He got mad at them for whatever reason, threw them in jail. But this was an opportunity that God had set up from a long time ago. We have Joseph with the ability to interpret dreams. These two guys have dreams. Joseph, because of what God tells him, is able to tell them what their dreams mean. And they're like, hey, what can we do for you in return? Remember me whenever you go before Pharaoh. When you're back working for him, remember me and mention me to him. For 2 years, he waited for that. The guy forgot about him for 2 years. But God had arranged that ahead of time. God was in control of it all the time, even though it seemed like you can't leave a guy just twist there for 2 years. God had a plan. So 2 years later, a dream happens. A horrible dream, a nightmare. Pharaoh sees this terrible thing happening in his dream, and he says, all right, all you magicians and wise men of the nation, tell me what it means. Not a single one of those guys that were supposed to be educated and wise and spiritual, not a single one of them could tell him what it meant. And all of a sudden, the guy from prison says, hey, wait! There was a guy when I was in prison, he could interpret dreams. This is 2 years later. No, in Genesis with Joseph.
We're in Genesis?
Yes. This all happens in Genesis. So he goes, he tells Pharaoh what it means. And it means there's going to be 7 years of really good harvesting, lots of food. And there's going to be 7 years of no food.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Since there's 7 years of no food, somebody's got to be smart and make sure that food's put back during the 7 good years.
Can we eat one baking right here? 7 years?
Yes. Guess who ends up getting the job? Because he has over and over and over again been taught and given opportunities to grow and learn and understand how to do it.
But that one guy that was
Joseph.
Yeah, Joseph.
Joseph gets the job. It took 13 years of God arranging things in Joseph's life to get him to where he was top dog in Egypt. But God was working way before then. They were hard times. Man, no, raise your hand if you would like to be a slave. No, you don't. He had to go through slavery. Raise your hand if you want to be in prison. He had to go through prison. But the whole time, God had a plan. And that's what Paul's talking about here too. He says, the whole time I've had rough times and good times, I've always been taken care of by God. And I'm content because I know God is the one arranging it. And so, we see here what Paul is talking about through the life of Joseph. He used his skills to save not one nation, but many nations. And Genesis 45:5, we see when you remember we talked about Joseph's brothers came and said, hey, let's sell them into slavery. You remember that? Well, you go 7 years of hard times with no food. You got to go to the grocery store. There's one set up there in Egypt. Excuse me. They come, and guess who's there?
The brothers.
Little brother is there, and he's in charge, and you sold him into slavery.
I don't know his name. His name isn't Joseph.
How do you think they reacted when they found out their brother was in charge?
OMG. Like,
if you betrayed a brother, sister, or somebody close to you, and you found out they could do anything they wanted to you as revenge, how would you feel?
Scared.
You'd be terrified, wouldn't you? You'd be terrified. His brothers were terrified. But here's what Joseph says instead of cut off their heads. He says this, and now, do not be distressed and do not be angry with yourselves for selling me here, because it was to save lives that God sent me ahead of you. God sent him before they got there so that they would have food. He saved the nation of Israel before it really become the nation by sending Joseph ahead based on his plans and the things he orchestrated. And he was content with it. He was able to save his family, the nation of Egypt, and several other peoples that were all around them because God used him and because he was willing to allow God to use him. God made everything happen that needed to happen. And there were times when he had very little, like in prison, and there are times when he had a lot, like when he is number 2 guy in Egypt, answerable only to the king. He had anything and everything he wanted. That's what Paul's also saying here. I've seen God work all these things, and I know God's in charge, whether I've got nothing or I've got a lot. And God still does that with his people today. Question is, are we willing to be content with what God's doing with us? Are we willing to say, I've got a lot. I'm happy in the Lord. I have peace. And I don't really have anything, but I'm still content. I still have peace in God because God's in charge. That's where we need to be. Not always easy, but that's where we need to be. All right, that is it for this lesson. We'll continue with the finishing up of Philippians 4 in the next couple weeks.
Oh, I thought you said you were in Genesis.
We're doing both. We were taking Genesis to explain Philippians 4. All right.